If you believe that your number one priority and job is to be in service to others, then you're perfectly in line with Jesus Christ. Growing up with, Catholic school educated all the way through, my college degree, Jesus Christ and my faith has been something near and dear to me, both in, moments of great success. It serves to give me great perspective on life, but then in times of great struggle and difficulty and hardship, it's given me that strength and that rock where I could really, lean on my faith. The influence of God in my life taught me to treat people fairly, to not lie, to not cheat, to not steal, to be kind, to be open-minded, to love others and to serve others.
If I didn't have such a strong relationship with Jesus and in faith, that it would be a bumpy roller coaster ride in circumstantial living, meaning when things were going well in my life, I'd be happy, and when things weren't, I'd be sad. But instead, I can always be at peace, knowing that God goes before me, He's working all things together for my good, and I know the best is yet to come.
Do I have the power of prayer? Do I ask for help when times get tough? Yeah, I sure do. I went to Mass today, and just the peacefulness that I got in the walk over, the 20 minutes that the Mass lasted, and the walk back, I kind of need that.
I grew up just like any other American youth, playing almost every sport at the rec level, but my brother and I, Blaze, we ended up excelling at the sport of soccer and realized that we could have a future in that game, and ended up having the opportunity to fulfill my dream of playing professional soccer. I played for 4 years in the country of Chile before coming back home to the United States and playing in MLS soccer with the New England Revolution. And it was there that I retired mid-season in order to enter into the seminary and to begin my formation to become a Catholic priest. Being able to realize in my heart, my soul, my mind, that God had called me higher to something greater, which I never thought possible.
As I grew older and realized that my talent level wouldn't enable me to be a college athlete, I was a baseball player primarily, I began to cover sports as a journalist, and what I began to see led me to Jesus and professional athletes. So I was fortunate. I covered some of the best athletes who ever played, who ever lived. Michael Jordan, Cal Ripken, Ken Griffey Jr., Wayne Gretzky. I covered Shaq. And what I noticed about them, Kobe, was that the greatest athletes who ever lived, they were never comfortable. They sacrificed. They suffered. They had pain because they wanted to be the greatest in the game. And as a Catholic, I understand that I need to live my faith really the same exact way.
I was around 8 years old when I had my first sports injury, and it was a very devastating shoulder injury right in the middle of baseball season. And what it forced me to do was, even at 8 years old, try to figure out what life was all about and who was I living for, myself and my own desires, or for something greater. And because my parents were believers, they invited me to give my life to Jesus, even at 8 years old. And so at that young age, I got down on my knees and I offered Him my life. I offered Him the pain and the suffering didn't go away. And in fact, the injuries came many more over the years. But through those sports injuries and through that suffering, I realized that I wanted Him to be the Lord of my life, and He became more real to me than anything else. And I realized that God was real and He loved me.
Obviously, I love sports, right? My whole life is dedicated to sports, but I think it's a little concerning the way youth sports are headed, just because it's taking up so much time from the family and also taking away from church. So what I would say is just be intentional and prioritize. And a lot of times when I feel overwhelmed by what's going on, I just go to God and say, God, give me discernment, help guide my steps.
What's more important, getting your kid into heaven or getting your kid maybe onto a good high school football team? I think it's heaven.
Jesus and our faith and our attendance at Mass on Sunday is sacrosanct. Nothing gets in the way of that. That is priority number one, and we build our schedule out from that. I played travel basketball most of my life, and we just had a rule with the coaches, and they knew that I was never going to miss Mass on the weekend, and nothing was going to shake that. And because of that priority, everything else was able to fall in line after that.
What John Paul II said was absolutely true. His perspective on sports, he says, if we have the right perspective on sport, we would realize that sports are a school of moral virtue. They're a school. They're meant to teach us who we are and how to live.
As you raise your children and you realize, yeah, this is it. They love sports. Wonderful, right? Wonderful. But man, oh man, stick Jesus Christ in front of them. Take them to weekly adoration for 15 minutes, a half an hour. Lead the nightly family rosary. Confession once a month. Keep these children understanding that God always comes first. And then, as they play sports, go to practices. As you see them excel in games, lead them to understand the value of how sports can lead them closer to Christ in a dimension of sacrifice, commitment, virtue, strength. All qualities of Jesus Christ.
Nothing is more important than your relationship with Jesus. So anything that gets in the way or becomes more of an emphasis than knowing him and following him and serving him is ultimately out of whack and a problem. So youth sports in and of themselves aren't bad, but if they become the Lord of your life, that's a problem.
Dear friends in Christ, I'm Father Anthony Federico. I'm the Director of Vocations and Seminarians for the Archdiocese of Hartford, and I am a huge sports fan. Growing up, I played hockey, baseball, soccer, tennis. I swam competitively. I wasn't very good at all of them, but I love them. Now I've gotten into golf and I've just broken 100 for the first time. I'm also in last place in the Hartford Priest Fantasy Football League, which is fun. Sports has been and will always be a huge part of my life. I worked at ESPN for about 7 years before I became a priest. I got paid to watch sports all day, every day. And I hope that you've seen in this video the beauty and power and meaning that sports brings to our lives. I've lived it for so long. And friends, I want to encourage you, if right now you have sports above God in your family life, I just want to encourage you to make that change, reorder that priority. Everything changes when we put God first in our families. Parents, I love you, I support you. I think it's so beautiful what you're doing for your kids, how you're raising them in this world today. I know that you parents want the best for your kids. I know you would do anything for your kids. You want the best of schools and nutrition and education. You want the best for their mental health and their physical health. Parents, I know you would do anything for your kids, so give them the best gift ever, which is putting them in a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. Sports are awesome, but they do not fulfill us on the level of our being. They are not the source of our identity. And when we don't go to Mass on Sunday, we're teaching our kids that God is optional, that we don't need God to be happy, and parents, nothing could be further from the truth. We need God for happiness. We need God for our identity. And going to Mass on Sunday is the ultimate way that we experience His love. When I was at ESPN, I learned a lot of statistics, but the one that has haunted me the most over the years is this one. 0.0026%. This is the percent chance that the average American teenager will make it pro in the sport of their choice. And there's another number, friends, that keeps me up at night. 100%. This is the percent chance that the average American teenager will stand before God someday and answer for the lives that we've lived. Each of us is going to go home to God someday and stand in judgment. And so on Sunday mornings, we have to decide which of these two numbers we're going to put our faith in. The minuscule chance that we become a pro athlete in our chosen sport, or the guaranteed chance that we're going to have to answer for the lives that we've lived and where we were on Sunday mornings. Because friends, even if we become that 1 in a million that makes it pro, we're still going to go home to God someday and answer for the lives that we've lived. I hope this video has really helped you and encouraged you. And now I want to turn it over to someone who's lived it herself, a mom who has gone through the gauntlet of sports and faith and has come out on the other side. Please meet Jen Shyman.
Making time for your faith will not hurt your child's athletic potential. Never seen it happen. Most coaches totally get it and will support your faith. And if they don't, that's okay. You're there to plant the seed. Let me tell you, when your girls come home from college and ask what Mass you're going to, and you all go as a family, almost on time, and you're holding hands during the Our Father, saying the sign of peace, and surrounded by your community and friends and the love of God, there's nothing like it. My super short mom advice would be this: enjoy sports, enjoy the whole ride, it's so fun, but love and guard your faith.